The sound of crashing waves filled the air, sunlight glimmering on the golden sand and children's laughter echoing in the distance. It was an ordinary summer afternoon at Clearwater Beach, but destiny was quietly setting the stage for a story no one could have written: a story of life, loss, and love. A single father named Ethan Hayes had no idea that one breath, one moment of courage would change everything forever. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't looking for love. He was just trying to survive for the sake of his little girl. But fate had other plans that began when a stranger's life slipped through her fingers and his hands brought her back. Ethan was a 32-year-old single dad, raising his 6-year-old daughter Lily after losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago. Life hadn't been kind to him, but he wore a smile for Lily's sake. Every morning he'd pack a simple lunch, grab a small pink bucket, and walk down to the beach they loved so much. It was their escape from the world, their peaceful place. That day felt like any other. Lily was building sandcastles, and Ethan was sitting on a towel, watching her with quiet pride. But in a single second, the peace shattered. A woman not far from them stumbled out of the waves, gasping for air before collapsing face first into the wet sand. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He rushed toward her as the crowd froze in panic. Kneeling beside her, he pressed his ear to her mouth. No breathing, no pulse. His heart pounded, but his hands didn't hesitate. "Lily, stay back," he shouted as he began CPR, counting each compression, praying she would come back. After what felt like forever, the woman coughed violently, choking up seawater. Her eyes fluttered open, meeting Ethan's a deep, frightened gaze searching for something real. "You're okay," he said softly, relief breaking his voice. She stared at him for a long moment before whispering, "Thank you." Her name was Amelia Grace, a woman whose world was hidden behind luxury and headlines. A billionaire heiress, known to the world but a stranger to herself. She had come to Clearwater alone to escape her life, searching for meaning in the simplicity she'd long forgotten. But that day, she had nearly drowned in the same ocean that now connected her to the man who saved her life. The hospital visit that followed felt strangely warm. Ethan stayed by her side until she was cleared, though she insisted she didn't need to be looked after. He smiled. "Guess you owe me a coffee then," he joked, trying to lighten the air. She smiled for the first time in months. From that moment, something quiet but powerful began between them. Amelia found herself drawn to Ethan's humility, his devotion to Lily, and the way he never asked for anything in return. He didn't know who she truly was, not the empire, not the money, not the pain behind her perfect smile, and she didn't tell him. For the first time in her life, she wanted to be seen as a person, not a billionaire. Days turned into weeks. Amelia kept coming back to the beach, always with an excuse: a morning walk, a book in hand, or Lily's laughter calling her over. Ethan noticed her kindness, how she'd sit with Lily and tell her stories, how her eyes softened when she watched them together. Still, a distance lingered. Amelia's secret hung over her like a shadow, and Ethan carried his own fears. He didn't believe he was ready to love again. But life has a way of breaking the walls we build. One evening, a storm rolled in, thunder shaking the sky. Ethan and Lily were caught on the pier when the winds grew fierce. Amelia, who had been nearby, ran through the rain toward them, terrified for their safety. Together they fought through the downpour, holding Lily between them as they took shelter in an old lifeguard cabin. Soaked and shivering, Ethan looked at Amelia, her designer clothes ruined, her hair drenched, yet her eyes glowed with something pure. "You didn't have to come," he said softly. "I couldn't stay." "Away," she replied, her voice trembling not from the cold but from emotion she couldn't hide anymore. As lightning flashed outside, Amelia confessed who she really was. The truth poured out: her wealth, her loneliness, the burden of being loved for what she owned rather than who she was. She expected anger or disbelief. Instead, Ethan just looked at her, silent for a moment before whispering, "It doesn't change who you are to me." His words melted the fear that had ruled her heart for years. In that small, storm-torn cabin, two broken souls found the courage to be honest, to feel again. Months later, Amelia's life had changed forever. The woman who once drowned in the ocean now lived by it, in a small seaside home where laughter echoed again. She had stepped away from her company, choosing a quieter life filled with meaning. Ethan and Lily had found more than love, they had found family. The beach where they first met became their sacred place, a reminder that miracles often wear ordinary faces. The story of the single dad, the billionaire, wasn't about wealth or fame, it was about the unseen. Connections that heal us, about how one act of kindness can rewrite the story of two lives forever. And as the sun set on that same golden shore, Ethan looked at Amelia, her hand in his, and said, "Funny how saving someone else can end up saving you too." She smiled, her eyes glistening. "I guess the universe has its own way of doing CPR.